I'm a lover boy by nature. I love very deeply. Some might say too deeply. I've been heartbroken a few times, but there were two times in particular that really mattered and really affected and changed me, and largely shaped who I am today. But I didn't numb out, I didn't shut down, I just came back stronger. Not colder, just wiser. So, just for context, the first heartbreak was when I was 14. Well, 14, 15, like that whole span, right? And basically, this is when I started smoking. So there was this girl I liked, you know what I'm saying? And she smoked the Zaza. And I didn't understand why at that time because I was just an innocent, chubby little boy. Life was, well, I want to say sunshine and rainbows. I was already a porn addict for what, 3 years? But wait, no, like 5 years. Holy shit. But anyways, I didn't dabble in drugs, and I was offered in middle school one time a vape, and I didn't do it because I was a goody two shoes, which I guess is a good thing. But yeah, I met this girl and she smoked, and I asked her to stop multiple times. I don't know what I expected, but she never stopped. And so eventually I asked her if I could smoke with her because I wanted to get high and understand why she wouldn't quit. Like, I wanted to understand the mindset or what kept her coming back or whatever. So this is when I started smoking, and that was a downward spiral. But then there was this friend I had who he smoked, and I knew he smoked. So after I smoked like the second time, I hit him up and we hung out and we smoked. And then that started a recurring cycle of buying a cart every week, and we just smoke the fuck out of it during the weekend. And then all week I would smoke the rest of it. Next week we'd get another one because his older brother had connections, or his older brother had a plug. That's sort of irrelevant to the heartbreak, like the Zaza, but that's how all this cycle started. And essentially, this girl that I was in love with, that said "I love you" to me and shit, you know what I'm saying? Like she led me on, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, if I wasn't a naive fool, then I would have gotten out of that situation. Like, if you put me in that situation now, I'm gonna look at the bitch sideways. Like, what the fuck you talking about? With the way she talked versus the way she acted. But she led me on, and I was young, naive, and I was a lover boy, and I am a lover boy. So basically, she liked him, and I wouldn't say they were like super, how do I put it, physical in front of me, but there were a few times where I like saw shit and I was like, wow, like that's fucked up, like in front of me, you know what I'm saying? After all the shit you tell me, and like I'm friends with both of y'all, and I like this girl. Anyways, that shit stung because I didn't have the grit or the merit or the self respect to leave that situation. And I stayed stuck in that situation for about a year ish. After I got caught smoking, my mom was tired of me. And so she sent me to Florida with my dad for a little bit. And this was freshman year during COVID. So I was doing online school over in Florida, even though my school was in Texas. And this is when I kind of like stopped talking to this girl. And then I came back and I started talking to her again. But I kind of just realized like this bitch five-faced. So I stopped talking to her. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. The pain stuck for about a year or two, and then I pretty much like fully healed from it. But that impacted me a lot, but nowhere near as much as this next one, because this time I was 16. I was just in like a suicidal state. I talk about it in my first video, but like I just felt like I wanted to die. But this is when I discovered NoFap. The porn problem, it definitely didn't go away, but it was a lot better. I started resisting more and more, and I wasn't doing it 5 to 10 times a day every day anymore. But I still did it a lot. And doing NoFap, it helped me like just feel better because I was doing it so much less, and that allowed my dopamine system to recover at least a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes more than others, depending on how active I was, because sometimes I had bursts of resistance. Sometimes it was like I do it for a few days, then I stop for a few days, and I do it for a few days, and you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I was just in a little bit of a better state, and I also started working out at this time, which helped tremendously with my state because I stopped being a fatty. I finally like lost weight, and I felt so much better about myself. I certainly wouldn't say I was the most handsome young man back then, but it was in the making, and here I am now. Basically, there was this girl in my PE class, and this was my junior year. And I mean, I knew she was in my PE class. I think I like verbally spoke to her like once. And then I saw her at the skating rink because I skated a lot at this point. And when I was 14, that's when I started skating. I saw her at the rink. She waved me down. We talked for like a long time. And, I liked her. And she was so much different that day than like the whole rest of like the time I talked to her. So different. It's ridiculous. Anyways, she added my best friend's snap off my story about 2 days later, and she talked to him a little at the rink as well. But basically, this was my best friend, like my brother. We finish each other's sentences and shit. We were tight. We hung out like every day. We were gym buddies. We after school, I'd pick him up and we'd go to the gym. And then I'd always be at his house, and I'd spend the night at his house like all the time. And they talked to each other, and I mean, I knew that, but I don't know. I was just naive, or like I said, same thing. I just didn't have enough self-respect at this point for anything to happen about that. But nothing major happened in between them until later on, and so this progressed, and I don't know why I stayed with this girl for so long, or whatever. We never even actually like dated like official relationship. It was like the worst situationship on the planet, essentially, because I had no bitches back then. And I was like in a scarcity mindset, I guess. But I'm also a lover boy, so like I fall fast. You know what I'm saying? Like honestly, I fell more for the person I met that first date as opposed to who she was after that. And yeah, like as things went on, a few more things happened. Like, I find out like they send hearts to each other, or it's just the texts were flirty, or she just like she seemed to put so much more care and effort and thought into him, or I don't know if that's the right term, but like it just seemed like she put more energy into him than me, even though she would say like I love you to me and shit, right? And like we were the ones like talking, not her and him. As a matter of fact, my best friend had a girlfriend. He, to be fair though, he's also a manho, or he was, I mean, maybe he's changed, but he was a manho, so he just couldn't keep his dick in his pants. And I guess he was enticing to her, so yeah, that's what happened. And I do see it differently now, and I do definitely understand what happened more in my own mind. Like, I'm pretty sure I know why that all happened. But it took a long time for me to come up with these ideas or these conclusions, because after all of that happened, I was devastated. I cut both of them off. I stopped talking to her multiple times and started talking to her again like a retard. But now I don't speak to either of them like religiously. I mean, every once in a while she'd be trying to like slide in. She follows me on TikTok, or she'll send like a period and be like, "Oops, I didn't mean to send that." I'm like, "Okay, bitch, you already tried that one." And then this other guy, my best friend, or my old best friend, he doesn't really hit me up much, but he watches my stories. He still follows me on stuff, and he'll swipe up on my stories if they're relevant to him in any way. Anyways, I'm yapping now, but basically that shit destroyed me, and that took like another 2 years. So like not long ago that I like really fully got over it, partially because she came back into my life again later on, and then that didn't last long though. It only took a week for me to like block her and stop talking to her, because they started talking again. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't see texts, but they followed each other on Instagram again or something. Maybe it was TikTok, whatever it is. And I just knew they started talking again, and I was like, nope, I'm out that hoe. Skedaddle. And after all that happened, I blamed myself, like I did with everything. But I did it from a place of hatred, self-hate. And I wanted to become like more quiet, nonchalant, less expressive, less emotional, like nonchalant dreadhead mode. But over time, I wanted that less and less, because I started to realize that it was never my fault. They're just not the right people for me. I'm just in a different state of mind than them, a different energetic like level or output. You know what I'm saying? Like I have more depth than them. And I have more depth than a lot of people, I think, just based off my life experience. But what I realized is I don't want to suppress myself. I want to express myself. I want to be free. So being free means being me, not some fucking numbed out, dumbed out version that's quiet just because he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? So the approach I decided to take instead was I'm just going to be me, but I'm going to learn how to detach quick. And so that's what I did. I can't really describe a process on how this works. It just kind of happened through talking to more girls, and I get attached quick. And to this day, like if I meet a girl today, I'll probably be attached within the first few days. Like if you know, I'm also very picky with women, so I won't even really get to that point with a girl unless she fits a lot of niched boxes. But on the surface, more people can meet those boxes than after 2 weeks of talking, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, this girl is not what I originally thought. And so stuff like that happens often where I get attached, but 2 weeks later I kind of realize that they're not the right person for me, and or they're just not someone that fits into my life well, and I cut them off. And it only takes me about a day or two for me to just like be over it. I don't know, move on, keep living life. And I think that's just the best way for me because I made that pain into something stronger. You know, I forged it into conviction. I forged it into a new mindset that allows me to just be me and be expressive and be who I want to be and be who I am, yet not have to suffer for it. Because I still give myself to someone and I still love hard, but I don't lose myself in the process. Most people conform after heartbreak. They harden up, they grow a shell, they act different. But instead, I double down on who I really am, and I couldn't think of a better end result than where I am right now in terms of women and like my boundaries, non-negotiables, and just what the girl needs to be. I will say I don't find a lot of girls that fit that criteria, especially here. I'm not in like a big city scene. I'm sure there would be more girls, at least that visually appeal to me in a city, but to me, looks are just the key to the door. And then after that, it's about your personality, your mindset, your energy, your vibe. And that's what a lot of girls struggle to meet. You know, there's a lot of pretty girls out there. There's a lot of baddies, but usually they're just not, they don't have that right mindset or energy that I'm looking for. But the world doesn't need more people afraid of love. It needs more people to keep giving out love because we live in a world where it's becoming far more normal to just be a whore in either side, men or women. It's just that's the way culture is progressing, and I disagree. I just think that's stupid, or not necessarily stupid, but it's so prominent and dominant that for people like me, it just makes it suck. And I think a dynamic of life in a traditional sense is way better than what we have right now, where everything's fucked up and jumbled and mumbled and scumbled and rumbled and tumbled and fumbled and lumbled and umbled and yeah. Thanks for watching. If I resonated with you or you feel me in any way, shape, or form, I implore you to hit the subscribe button and turn on noties so you never miss a future upload. If you'd like to know me on a more personal level, you should check out my vlog, Joseph Maroney. The link will be in the description. And you better like or fuck. You gonna become bitter, sour, have no power. You probably gonna play League of Legends so you never take no showers. Yeah.